There is a great divide in the world of rational argument: deductive and inductive reasoning. All arguments fall into one camp or the other. But what is the dividing line? There's a lot of confusion out there about this. A quick internet search will land you in a swamp of misleading or downright mistaken descriptions. So let's make it clear right here at the start. What divides the deductive from the inductive is intent. Deduction aims to provide certainty. It offers a guarantee that the conclusion is true. Proof, with a capital P. Here's an example. All foxes are canines. Some foxes sleep in trees, so some canines sleep in trees. A closer look at this argument will show how deduction aims for a guaranteed conclusion. Let's say all foxes in the world are in this circle. If something is in this circle, it's a fox. Outside the circle, not a fox. And let's say all the canines in the world are in this circle. Wolves, coyotes, your grandma's Yorkie, they're all in this circle. But anything outside this circle is not a canine. Now the first premise says all foxes are canines. So you see all these foxes over here outside the canine circle? No? Well, that's the point. There aren't any. All foxes are canines. So if there are any foxes at all, they have to be right here. They couldn't be over here, outside the fox circle. Then they wouldn't be foxes. They'd be some other canine, like a jackal or a dingo. So if it's true that all foxes are canines, then all the foxes in the world are right here, where the fox and the canine circles overlap. The second premise comes along and tells us some foxes sleep in trees. Let's say it's this one. So here's our tree-sleeping fox. And as we've seen, right here, in the overlap of circles, is the only place our tree-sleeping fox can be, if it really is true that all foxes are canines. So now the conclusion is proven. Some canines sleep in trees. It has to be true. After all, here's a tree-sleeping creature inside the canine circle. Now that was a long, detailed look at a deductive argument, and I don't want the main point to be lost. Can you see how the conclusion is inescapable? Does your mind latch on to the conclusion with a certain obviousness? That sense of certainty that you feel is exactly what a deductive argument aims for. Let's go through one more deductive argument quickly, just to drive home the point. All unicorns always have a single horn. So the next unicorn to magically appear will have a single horn. No surprise there. After all, we just said all unicorns always have a single horn. So how could it have turned out any other way? If the premise is true, then take it to the bank. So is the conclusion. Induction, on the other hand, only tries to show that a conclusion is likely true. This is no quest for certainty, just reasonable confidence. An inductive argument makes the case that a conclusion is probably true. Look at this example. The last unicorn to magically appear did not have a heart tattoo on its rump. So probably the next unicorn to magically appear will not have a heart tattoo on its rump. Now, this is not a very strong argument. Who knows? Maybe unicorns do tend to get hearts stamped on their flanks. But we haven't seen that. In fact, the only unicorn we've seen so far did not have a heart stamped on its flank. That's not great evidence, but it's some evidence. Oh, we got that one wrong. But that's the nature of inductive reasoning. We're in the realm of probability now, not certainty. And sometimes the conclusion of an inductive argument turns out to be false, even when the argument is really strong. And this one was never strong to begin with. We were reaching a tentative conclusion based on a single piece of evidence. But let's change the example. What if a unicorn magically appeared every single day for 2 weeks, and every single one had a heart tattoo stamped on its rump? Would you bet your life that the next unicorn will have a heart tattoo? Probably not, but can you be reasonably confident? Sure. I mean, we've got a consistent 2-week pattern here. I'd wager $20 or so that the next unicorn will have a heart tattoo on its rump. But I might lose that $20. Inductive reasoning never provides absolute proof. It's not even trying to. In this video, I haven't even touched on the many different styles and approaches of each camp. But when you're considering an argument, it's important to know which camp you're dealing with, because you can't decide whether an argument is successful unless you know what it's trying to achieve. It would be unfair to call an inductive argument a failure just because it doesn't provide absolute proof. Absolute proof was never the goal. So keep your eye out for the difference, and remember the difference is a matter of intent. Certainty versus probability.